Hi, I'm Shannon from houseimprovements.com, and today we've got some dirty old carpet here in this house, and I'm just going to show you what I like to do in order to get rid of it. Regardless, you always end up with some carpet at some point in your home that you've got to change out. It's gotten stained, dirty, the dog peed on it, the kids spilled juice all over it, whatever. In this case, it's just plain old dirty and wore out. So what we're going to do, it's quite a big room, so instead of trying to roll this all up in one big piece, lug it out the door, breaking your back, maybe knocking something over in the process and breaking it, what I like to do is cut it into more manageable pieces. But to start with, the first thing you want to do is get rid of any trim, any registers, anything that's going to be in the way. Furniture, obviously. So we'll go around, we'll pull off the baseboards. Then I'm going to show you what I like to do. I like to cut this into strips. So we're going to take our utility knife and just cut this carpet, 6-7 feet wide, whatever you feel like is easier to manage. We're going to roll that up, get it out of the way. We'll do that a couple times, get us a decent spot here to work. And then we're going to get rid of the underpad as well, and then the tack strips that are around the outside edge holding it down. So I'm just going to start out by getting rid of the baseboards here. So I'm going to use my red flat bar. And we just want to pry along. Something to consider. Now I just jumped right into this, but and it wasn't a concern in this case, but sometimes your wall will be painted and they might have painted the baseboard right to the wall practically, or whoever painted, basically got the paint stuck on the top of the baseboard. So in that case, if your baseboard kind of looks like that, just take a utility knife and cut along the top of the baseboard between the drywall face and the back of the baseboard. And that'll just prevent you from damaging the wall surface and having to patch that up again. In this case, this one doesn't have that issue, so we're just going to go along and pry it off. If you're trying to save your baseboard, you want to take it off and mark on the back with a pencil marker or whatever, just a bit of a location, just so when you're putting it all back in, it's easy to figure out. If you're doing quite a bit of it, you can mark it on here and then just put a corresponding mark on the wall as well. So maybe this is A or number 1 or whatever, just mark it there, and then you have a good idea where it goes back on a few days after you have taken it off. So we got that one piece there, that wasn't so bad. We've got another piece hiding under this pink curtain here. Now I'm not actually saving these baseboards, so I'm not taking a lot of care. Boy, they weren't nailed on that great. So I've got the pieces, you can see all kinds of nails sticking out of the back like that. If you were going to reuse it, then you probably want to pull those nails out with a pair of pliers or something. I'm just going to bend them over. We're tossing this out, so I just want to bend them over so that they don't get stepped on in the meantime. So we'll just get that bent out of the way. And I'm just going to move these out of our room here so I'm not tripping on them. Okay, so we got those out of the way. We've got an air duct, hot air grill there. We're going to get that out of the way. I already undid these little guides for the curtains, so that isn't an issue. So I think I can come right back over here to the edge of the room. And like I said, I like to cut the carpet in strips of 6-7 feet, whatever you think is easy enough to lug around. This is, once it's rolled up, even in a 6-foot wide roll, it's going to be fairly heavy, so you don't have to measure it out or whatever. Just basically pick a spot that you like, pull this up, just take your utility knife and start cutting along there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so just one little spot here. Okay, so we got that all cut. Now you probably noticed when I started at this end, right underneath here, around the perimeter, you've got this spiky looking strip here with all these nails poking up out of it. That's called the tack strip. I'm just going to pull a little bit more of this up, just to get it back out of the way. those are some of the sharpest things you're ever going to lay your fingers on. So one thing that's kind of nice, and I could have even had them on before I started making that cut, is putting some gloves on will help, because it doesn't matter how careful you are, half the time you're gonna catch your finger at some point on these things. You definitely don't want to kneel on them. Now these are going to be held down. We've got a wood subfloor, so in that case they're just held down with some nails that are in there. If it was a concrete floor, they could be glued down with an adhesive. So just depending on how they're put down, you might need a bar and a hammer or whatever. In this case, I'll be able to just pry them up, so you can kind of get a little bit better look at that. You can see all those nails there that are sticking up, and they're like razor blade sharp. I've never seen anything quite that pokey. And half the time, you can even kind of see it on here, just from washing your carpet and that sort of thing, or spilling drinks or whatever. It'll go through the carpet, and if it touches these, it starts to get those nails a little bit rusty. So not a bad idea that your tetanus shot is maybe up to snuff as well, because you could be poking yourself with rusty nails. So you just simply, I don't usually do this just yet, but I guess I'm kind of into it now. Usually I'd wait till I have the underpad and everything out of the room, then I just go around and pull all those up. You can notice here that on a couple of them, the nail that was holding it down actually didn't come out of the floor. So just make sure you get everything out of the way there. Okay, so not difficult to get rid of. If you're just putting carpet back in again, and those strips are in good shape, they seem to be still held down well with the nails or the adhesive or whatever was on there, you might be able just to reuse them. So don't go too gung-ho on ripping them up until you know for sure whether you want to reuse them or not. In this case, we're going to be putting wood floor down here eventually, so we don't need them at all. So anyways, back to the carpet. Now we've got it cut into a manageable piece. I'm going to actually pull it out of that tack strip. So when the layers put the carpet in and stretch it, that tack strip is what basically holds it back down in place when they're done stretching it in the room. So I just want to get it free of that tack strip, and then I'm going to start at one end and roll this up. So, depending on the size of your room, you want to start with a fairly tight roll to start with, because it's just going to get bigger as we go. Those of you who are a little bit on the gangsterous side, you might have rolled up a body in one of these at one time, I don't know, but then it'll really be heavy. So there we go, we got our first piece. It's a lot more manageable in this case. Even that piece there, that's pretty decent carpet too, which makes a difference, but that piece there probably weighs 50 pounds easily. So you can imagine if I rolled up this whole room and then trying to, with the length of it and the weight, trying to drag it out of here. So I'm going to do one more strip just to give us a little more room here to work, and then we'll show the getting rid of the underpad. Now you may have noticed when I was doing that, I'm using my my utility knife, and I've got a lot of blades sticking out. Whenever you do that, it's not recommended for one thing, but whenever you do, you just have to be extremely careful. These are snap-off blades. Sometimes you'll be cutting along at whatever you're doing, and it'll actually break and you'll slip. You don't want to be cutting towards yourself, where if that happened, you might cut your leg or arm or something. So I've got this one all loosened off of that tack strip again. Same thing, I'm just going to roll it up. I'm being careful here not to kneel on the tack strip that's right underneath me. Let's roll this all up. And there. It's easily carried out to the truck or dumpster or whatever you're doing with it. So now we're at the point where we've got the underlay. Most times you're going to find that there is an underlay under your carpet. Sometimes it might be a rubber back carpet, so there usually wouldn't be. The underlay doesn't weigh nearly as much as the carpeting. So, and I can see this underlay has been rolled out in strips the other direction from how we're been cutting our carpet. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make a cut here at the edge, approximately where we cut the carpet off at that one spot. And just cut this so it's, again, a little more manageable. Okay, so it's just foam. There's nothing super hard about cutting it. Yeah, although it's surprising, you do need a pretty decent knife, or sharp blade, I should say. Now, the underlay, when they install it, is going to be stapled, generally just around the perimeter, and that's what these marks are that you're seeing. It's just where it's squished down from the staples. So all you need to do is just pull it up. The staples are just going to rip right through it, and we'll just get it all loose here. And just like we did the carpeting, we'll get that rolled up quickly and out of the way. And like I said, this stuff's a lot lighter, so a little bigger roll doesn't really make a difference. So now we're starting to see our subfloor, and we can see here that now if I had this all done, I could go around, get all my tack strips off in my case, because I'm not putting carpet back in here. So I'd pull them all off. It's nice to try to have a garbage can right handy when you're doing that. That way they go right in there. You don't have to handle them again and have another incident where you maybe poke yourself. So get those out of the way. As you're going around doing that, you're gonna, usually it makes it easy to find the staples from the underlay, because there's a little chunk of foam usually stuck under them like you see here. So we need to get those staples out of the way as well. And usually with this red bar that I use all the time, it's thin enough I can just get underneath the edge of that staple and pull those guys out. And if I had a little bucket or garbage can, like I said, I'd just drag that around the room with me so I could get rid of them right away. So you could use a flathead screwdriver, whatever works, depending on the size of the staple or how well they're put in there. Sometimes you just can't even see the staple for the foam. It takes a second to find the edge of it. And you may want a pair of pliers dragged around with you as well. So when you get the odd stubborn one, you can pull it out with the pliers. Even a hammer too. Sometimes you get one breaks off, and by the time you went and found a hammer and came back, you can't find the little end that's still sticking up. So if you have it right with you, it's good to go. So that's really the basics of pulling out carpet. I guess the main safety issues are your back, for one thing. That's why I cut it into smaller pieces, so I can roll it up and it doesn't weigh as much. The tack strips are probably the most dangerous thing in the whole operation. And you know, you're dealing with a knife, right? But if you shouldn't be handling knives, you probably don't want to do this job. So I think that pretty much covers everything on removing old carpeting. Other variations you might see, I mentioned foam back carpet there a few minutes ago. A lot of times you'll see that in basements or maybe even on stairs or something. With the foam back carpet, most always it is stuck down, especially if it's on concrete. Over time it's kind of stuck right onto the concrete itself. So it's going to take some scraping and work to get that cleaned right off. The odd time with this style underlay, like what we just removed, you might even see it glued down, you know, around the perimeter, or maybe the odd spot here and there. Usually that peels off pretty easily once you get it started. But same thing, if it doesn't, you may have to do a little bit of scraping of the subfloor to get that excess foam off of there, or underlay. That's all I can really think of. I think that pretty much covered it. You should know how to take your carpet out of your room now. So thanks for watching. You can see all the other videos we have on our YouTube channel. You can check out our website at houseimprovements.com as well. And on the website we do have a forum page, so you can go on there. We've got lots of different topics. Maybe you can help somebody else out, or maybe you've got a question you want to post there and get some help from somebody yourself. So check that all out if you have time, and thanks for watching.